We could only hear vibrations. So basically, sitting there, I'd hear he was doing, So I knew, okay, that's the way I should be going. And I knew the tempo.
Beckett, he's progress. He's the inevitable future that's coming. And he's clinical, unlike, Jones is organ. Jones is, he's got a personal hurt. He cut out his heart. I think those discussions are really important to have early on in anything. And then, because it's not laid on top of the movie, it's not just score. It's in the movie. It sort of accesses your brain in a different way, and it becomes character. I mean, I think, and that's why when you start with these discussions and you're looking for those three notes or those, the very simple tune, it's always a character discussion. When Hans asks questions, and we have these immense discussions about, you just call me and say, tell me about Davy Jones. Or I'm here and I'm working on Beckett, or I'm trying to, work on the new love theme, and what does it have to accomplish? And we talk about parallels between Jones and he cut out his heart, and what Elizabeth and Will are going through, and how that the two love stories parallel each other. And you ask really good questions that we don't even talk about music, or notes. We talk about all of this other stuff, and then, you go away and there's a blank canvas, and you sit. And you do that thing that I'm in awe of, which is you sit there and just play. People don't realize that most movies are made where you temp the score, and then you meet with the composer, and you play the temp score, and you say, this is our movie, it's, the cut, give or take the cut is how it's going to be, and here's the temp music, and we've temped it with your previous music, or Morricone, or somebody else, and we want to start talking about music. Well, we don't have time for any of that. So we're literally, Hans is writing music, and Steve and Craig are editing, and the scenes aren't even finished yet, and we're rewriting, and I may be still shooting, and all this soup is happening at the same time. So I think it's a completely different. It's not, it's not in any way normal.
I think that because of the logistics. And like you were saying, for the sheer reason that you didn't have the opportunity to temp it, listen to a lot of the movies that are out in the business. They all sound like it's canned music. That's because of the process. The process is you temp it with some other movie score to get it to the roadmap, then you test the film. The film comes back high scoring, and then you end up telling the composer, hey, try not to mess with the roadmap. This thing, the logistics, forced you guys to be completely, totally, utterly original.
There's one scene we were working on, the dead people on boats, and getting to see the visual effects.
Cannibal Island. I mean, how long did we work on that?
We worked on Cannibal
That was a huge musical sequence, and we worked on that for, months.
We'd come down to Melissa's room, she'd play us something, she'd say, oh, this cut's a day old, this isn't any good anymore. The knowledge of, okay, this doesn't work, I need to do something else
That was
here.
usually my stuff.
Well, we sat there and we panicked for about 3 or 4 weeks. It was a 9-week post. So that meant we had to get it done very quickly, and there was no music.
This stuff's coming at you so fast. It's like intuitive. And I think if it becomes cerebral, you don't get the same kind of passion. There's something gut that's happening when you're moving that fast and those many hours, and making changes and constantly, I think sometimes your head can destroy great work. That your gut is something you trust.
After Pirates Run, I thought it would never get any larger than that. That was as big as a music mix could get until Pirates 2 happened. And then, of course, Pirates 3 was totally insane, but it was wonderful, and in a way very musical and very intuitive, because after a while, Hans and I got it down to a science where we took these 600 tracks and turned it into 8 faders. And really, it was about mixing this big hunk of orchestra against this big hunk of percussion and this big hunk of solos and melodies and this big hunk of bottom. And it just became, I mean, when you agree, after a while, it's just the preparation got it smaller and smaller and smaller until it just became pure music and very little technology.
It's also, there is a thing with this group. Nothing is ever good enough. It's never good enough, and you got to always try to make it better. And there's so many times we'll be on the dubbing stage and we have a date we have to turn over the reel to make sure we make all our prints, and we'll listen to a cue and we'll say, uh-oh, doesn't work, doesn't work. So he's sitting in the back of the room saying, oh my God. And the rest of the people say, can we find some musicians? Let's get in and rewrite it. Mel's running around trying to find people and get things going. But it's that kind of, there's nobody saying, I can't do it, I'm walking out of the room, it's too late, forget it. There's never that attitude amongst this group. You
Yeah,
know,
but
say,
we
"How
got
do
that
get it
down to
done?"
fine art now. I mean, we really know, you know, we know what the last second is.
I also remember one day showing up at, I think it was our first scoring session on probably P3. And I walk in and Hans has got the orchestra going and I kind of am watching the cue and I'm like, wow, great cue. Wow, this is already like a 3-minute cue. I mean, geez, wait a minute, there's no picture running. Wait a minute, it's like 5 minutes. Wait a minute, this is like 7 minutes. What's this guy doing? So finally the cue ends after like 9 minutes. No picture running, nothing. 12. And I walk over to him and I go, dude, where's the picture? He goes, oh, no, we're not doing it to picture today. Well, yeah, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm warming up the orchestra. We're recording these things all in suites so that when I bring them back to do each cue individually, they'll be masters at it. And I thought to myself, that is genius.
We decided we needed 2 mix rooms to actually mix the movie in, because we actually needed 2 rooms going 24 hours a day.
And it was amazing to have Hans like down the hall on Pirates 3 and just feeding us things to try with scenes. That was unprecedented for me as a picture editor.
The move on Pirates 3 to Disney, I gotta say, I was like, okay, Hans, yeah, but it worked.
I just thought the only way we can do this if we're all in the same building, or if we hunker down and, you know, basically make our life about this movie, you know, and just forget everything. I mean, what you were saying, there's a sort of a strange exclusion that happens to anybody else who isn't on the movie. They don't speak our language. They don't know what we're doing. They don't know, you know, because part of it is they're not supposed to know what we're doing. You know, our whole thing is we don't make movies that other people have seen or can imagine. I think the third one is in its own sort of funny way, the ideal way of making a movie. Minus the bit where you rush the time. But you know,
It's not me who's rushing the time.
Oh, okay.
I would give you as much time as they allow me. We have to release it eventually.
It's very hard to blame the studio, but it's, you know, it's like...
You know, we have these tremendous narrative obligations, the music. You know, it's not just, you know, it doesn't exist in isolation. It exists as a kind of, you know, a plumber, or it's got a job to do, you know, and that's what I mean. It's these tremendous burdens. And what's nice is when you achieve everything, you can just listen to it in isolation. Go, oh, that's a great tune.
Each time it got harder because we had less time. So, and just, it's like going to be a Navy SEAL. They really put you through a grinder.
It's just a wonderful journey.
It's really been an amazing process.
It's a real bummer when it's over. And yeah. I remember the last day, we thought it was the last. I didn't think it was the last day, but because you'd scheduled more orchestra sessions in case the dubbing, this cue doesn't work. And I remember the musician saying, but this isn't it, right? And I'm like, that's probably it. We've recorded everything. No, this can't be it. And really, everyone, I mean, even the last cellist is bummed that this is it.
I think ultimately, I mean, you know, I'm hearing everybody speak, and I realize really what this is about is we spend years of our lives together making these movies, and you know, we're never going to have these years back, but I think these were years well spent.
But you know what?
You know?
But the work will live on forever.